Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about some companies I find very interesting. These will be copper and gold companies. Now let's go right into it. Borealis Mining Company. This company has 1.8 million ounces of historic resources, and the fact that they are currently processing some material from previous mined ore, and the fact that they will be producing in 2026, which is fantastic. And this is in America, and they have three projects. The one just mentioned, or the Borealis project, with 1.8 million ounces of gold in measured and indicated. Their Sandman project with 500,000 ounces, and that will soon also be producing apparently. And the fact that insiders own 35% of the company, Rob McEwen, a mining legend, owns 14%, and institutions own 31%. So this is a phenomenal fact that they have most of the infrastructure already in place, and the fact that they will be producing, apparently if everything goes according to plan, in 2026, but they are like pouring gold now due to the fact that apparently they are processing some ore from previous mined ore, as mentioned before. And the fact that with the Sandman project, it seems to be they would have a 9-year mine life with the Sandman project at like 35,000 ounces at $1,300 per ounce in all its sustaining costs, which would be phenomenal. So now let's go over to the next one. The next on the list is NewFoundGold. This company has 1.4 million ounces of gold, and the fact that they would have the first 4 years of production have 70,000 gold in production the first 4 years, and after that they would be producing between year 5 and 9 they would be producing roughly like 150 and 170,000 ounces. Bear in mind, it has a low all-in sustaining cost at $1,200. The thing is, the reason why it also piqued my interest is that 23% of the company is owned by Eric Sprott, one of the greatest mining investors. It seems to be that they would apparently be producing in 2027, 2028. And the fact that they just acquired Maritime Resources, which means that they will apparently be free cash flowing soon with their project, which will apparently in like the Maritime Resources would apparently be producing in early 2026, which is in a couple of months, which means that they would be getting cash flow to then be able to apparently finance their main project. And it seems to be that this project would, based upon the feasibility study in 2022, it had like $900 of all-in sustaining cost. Bear in mind that will probably be a lot higher, or at least a couple of $100 higher. It seems to be that they would be producing 50,000 ounces of gold at the project. Their Maritime project apparently has 270,000 ounces of gold, which is a low amount, but it will be generating some cash flow. Now let's go over to the next one. And the next one is a company I've barely heard about, but it's Alkane Resources. I'm just going to mention them, one of the major projects, which is not currently producing, by the way. It's in Australia called the Boda-Kaiser. And listen to this. Just listen to this. This company, with their project, have 8 million ounces of gold and 14 million ounces of gold in gold equivalent. Like, bro, that's insane. Bear in mind that project is not currently producing, but they do have other projects that are producing in Sweden and apparently in Australia. And the fact that they will be producing antimony and gold, and in roughly like in 2026 going to be producing apparently 160,000 gold ounces equivalent in 2026, which is going to be nice. So the fact that they will be able to cash flow whilst they are building their main project, they're not going to work with a major. That's going to be very interesting though, because this is like a major gold deposit they have in Australia, and by using the smaller mines to get cash flow to then finance the larger projects, so they don't have to dilute so much, they don't have to junior partner. But who knows? I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But bear in mind, this company is producing gold and antimony, things that the West needs. But I'm very interested in the Boda-Kaiser resource project in Australia. That's a major. It reminds me a little bit about Vista Gold, but it's like a major resource. But this project is a lot more. And I think this company hasn't rallied that much. But bear in mind, this is like they are producing currently and they are profitable. I think the all-in sustaining cost, if I remember correctly, was between $1,700 and $1,900 per ounce in all-in sustaining cost. And bear in mind, gold is at like $3,600 now. This company seems very nice. And there are other projects. One in Sweden has apparently 1.4 million ounces of gold at 2 grams per ton. They will, in Bjorkdal in Sweden, they will be producing 40,000 ounces of gold. In the Costerfield project, they will be producing antimony and gold, roughly 50,000 gold equivalent. Tomeli will be producing 80,000 ounces of gold in 2026. Roughly like similar all-in sustaining cost to Orezone Gold. But that was this company. Let's go over to the next one. Starting with metallic metals. The reason why it also piques my interest is that looking at the share structure, 10% is owned by Eric Sprott, 10% or 9.5% is owned by Newmont, the largest gold producer, 20% is owned by institutions, and 15% is owned by management. Bear in mind, this is not currently producing, so it is high risk. And it seems to be that according to their website, their resource estimate is at 1.3 billion copper equivalent pounds, which is amazing. And the fact that they have some of the greatest investors and the largest companies companies in the resource sector invested in the company. It seems very interesting. Their president is Scott Petzel, which is a geologist. 35 years of experience in the mining exploration, with focus on like large, precious, and base metal systems. Seems like they have a lot of people with a lot of experience in the mining exploration sector. Like every single one on the management team has literally experience in mining industry, in the mining sector as a geologist, mining and processing engineer. Like, bro, it seems very interesting. Bear in mind, none of this is financial advice as per usual. This is just my opinion. Now let's go over to the final company on this list, which will also be a copper company. Let's go. And then going over a company I've talked about before. It's Arizona Sonora Copper. They seem to be at like $4.5 copper. They seem to have a life of mine free cash flow of $9.7 billion. The capex seems to be like $600 million, $700 million. And the fact that they have Hudbay as an investor, Newton, institutionals, and management has 4%. Bro. And the fact that this company has 5.3 billion pounds of copper in measured and indicated, and 2.3 billion pounds of copper. And this is in America. The fact that America is going to be needing to become more resource independent. The fact that this is one major copper deposit in America. Seems very nice. So, you know, and the fact that they have permitted water access that is secured to 2070. They have power. They're using clean nuclear energy from their Palo Verde plant in Phoenix. And they have railroad and road access. Bro, this seems like an interesting opportunity. Bear in mind, this is not currently producing, and it seems to be producing in 2028, 2029. If everything goes according to plan. Now, I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this video. This is not financial advice. These are just companies I think have opportunity for people with a long time preference, you know. So I hope this has been tremendously useful. Click like and subscribe if you like this video. Write a comment if there's something you are curious about, or if this was a good video or bad video. I would love to have some feedback. Have a great day. Peace.